Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Welcome to the What We're Watching podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jenny. Today we're talking about Barbie.
Yay!
This movie has been everywhere.
Yeah, top of our list for months, and we see lots of movies.
Yeah, top of everybody's list because everybody's in the movie theaters right now.
It is so refreshing to see the movie theater completely packed for weeks with women and boyfriends and husbands and kids, and everyone's wearing pink. I love it.
Yeah, so much fun.
Yeah.
And the husbands wearing pink are cute too.
I know. We love a supportive Ken. So, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the Barbie movie, or if you don't want to hear about the Barbie movie, obviously, go watch it, run to the theaters, and then come back. First, I'll give a little two-sentence synopsis from the internet about what the movie is about, just to remind you in case you saw it a couple weeks ago. And I'm just going to read this. Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbieland. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans. Now, did you know that that's what the movie was going to be about?
I didn't even know there was a Barbieland. I went into the movie completely ignorant to what was going to happen. I prefer seeing movies that way. I love having no spoilers and kind of no expectations, honestly.
I totally agree. I had no expectations. They did a really good job of keeping the trailers spoiler-free and yet full of hype. Like, I was so excited to see it, and I did not know what to expect, but I loved the storyline. I thought it was really creative.
Yeah, I think I didn't really care too much about the movie when I saw pictures of them on set. And
yeah, I remember the rollerblading photos.
Yeah. And that's the first time I heard of the movie, and I was kind of like, Barbie, okay, don't really care. Until that teaser trailer came out, that was the first few minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
That's an ode to 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it's got Barbie in her original bathing suit outfit, and it was so funny, and it was one of those trailers that I wanted to show everyone that I knew. And I think you and I texted each other immediately. This is a long time ago. We texted each other immediately. We were like, this is on our list.
For sure. Yeah, I was excited immediately. What was your relationship to Barbie as a kid? Did you have Barbies? Did you like Barbie?
I loved Barbies. I had a lot growing up, I would say. It was always my favorite to get the box and then have someone help you undo it because Barbie boxes are impossible to to open.
Yeah.
And my favorite Barbie ever was one I got for Christmas one year. It was the 2000 Barbie. But I never had a Barbie dream house or any of the accessories, really. I just had the Barbies, I think. And then I switched to Bratz.
Wow, I wasn't allowed to have Bratz.
Why not?
I think my parents thought they were trampy. Which is kind of hilarious. I was a big doll person, so I had Barbies, Polly Pockets, American Girl dolls. You name it, I had it. And my best friend in my neighborhood, Caroline, and I would have sleepovers until high school, for sure, where we would play Barbies.
I'm pretty sure I secretly played them still, even when I felt like I wasn't supposed to play with them anymore.
Yeah. I just loved, like, anything that was, like, imaginative play as a kid, where you could make up a story or a family or whatever. I thought was so fun. But I will say, from super young, I always wanted to play with dolls with brown hair because I had brown hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure with red hair that was even harder. And so it's amazing how early you pick up on the representation or lack of representation in toys, in movies, in books, and how apparent that was in Barbie. Like, I loved Teresa because she had brown hair.
Yes.
She was the only one with brown hair. And I'm white, so I can't imagine if you don't have Barbies that look like you. So I really appreciated this movie as a way to kind of take back the Barbie narrative. I thought it was so smart.
Yeah, totally agree. It's so funny that you say that because I actually think about that all the time. I am a white girl with red hair, and whenever I watch a movie and there's someone with red hair in it, I'm like, oh, is that kind of what I look like?
Yeah.
I always feel seen.
Yeah, it's wild. Even like my body type, if I see somebody with the same body shape as me.
Or someone our height who's short like us.
I remember it. And that's such a small thing because we do fit into very much the typical white girl standards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's representation is so important, and it's
Absolutely.
so important for little girls to see themselves on the screen. And I think you're right that this movie does that, though I don't think it spends a lot of time with the Barbies that are not stereotypical Barbie.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, yeah, there could have been a little room for improvement, but I appreciated how much they tried to tackle in this movie when it came to the stereotypical Barbie body type, the different people of color that were included in the cast, the patriarchy. They were trying to do a lot in this
Yes.
movie, which we'll get to. But overall, I really loved it. I thought it was so refreshing and hilarious.
Me too. It was not what I was expecting at all. And I think now it is no secret that this is making a lot of statements and making people angry. But when I went and saw it, I had no idea this was going to have any feminist take whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was very pleasantly surprised. And I thought it was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
It was
so funny.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but this movie is everywhere. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the marketing that they've done with this movie. I feel like it's been everywhere, and that's really contributed to the hype.
Absolutely, yes. As to marketing girlies, I love that it's everywhere and that everyone is talking about the marketing and their different brand partnerships and that everyone is wearing pink. Like, it's everywhere and I love it.
What is the weirdest brand partnership that you've seen? Can you think of any?
Oh,
I have one. I've seen Progressive and Barbie.
yes. I loved the Progressive Barbie commercial. It was so cute.
And I don't love Progressive commercials.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, the grossest partnership that I've seen is Burger King.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
The pink burger. It has like pink sauce oozing out.
A pretty patty. I've seen like Architectural Digested, a Barbie Dreamhouse tour. There have been other things I can't think of right now, though. It was good.
Yeah. Should we get into the movie?
Sure. So the director is Greta Gerwig, and she and her partner, Noah Baumbach, not sure, they co-wrote it together.
That's cool.
But there's a really interesting backstory with this movie. So they've been trying to make a Barbie movie since 2014. And I remember, because I'm obsessed with Diablo Cody, she wrote Juno and Jennifer's Body, and she was given the role of writing the Barbie script.
Oh, wow.
In 2014. And I remember in many interviews with her many years ago, she always talks about that as a failure of hers because she just could not get herself to write this Barbie script. And I have some more information on what she said about that. Yeah, okay, so the plan had been to package Cody's take on the character with a very unconventional leading actress. Can you guess who that actress is? Or do you know?
I do know who it is.
Who is it?
It was Amy Schumer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Amy Schumer was going to be in it. I can't even imagine what the movie was going to be like, but I could see her being Barbie and it being like a really funny take on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see it being as much of a feminist take.
Yeah. It's giving I Feel Pretty.
Yeah.
If you saw that Amy Schumer movie. Because that is, in a lot of ways, Amy Schumer acting as the, quote, non-traditional lead of a romantic comedy and making it funny and making it feminist. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and as far as I know, the plot was going to be that she was kicked out of Barbieland because she wasn't perfect enough.
Oh,
which is a
very different
take. And that makes a lot of sense for like 2014 feminism.
Absolutely.
I feel like it would have been an anti-Barbie movie.
Yep.
What Diablo Cody said is the idea of an anti-Barbie made a lot of sense given the feminist rhetoric of 10 years ago. I didn't really have the freedom then to write something that was faithful to the iconography. They wanted a girl boss feminist twist on Barbie, and I couldn't figure it out because that's not what Barbie is. So that was very interesting.
Oof.
And then because of creative differences, Amy Schumer left. And then do you know who was said to replace her?
No.
Someone we love. Anne Hathaway.
Wow.
Let's just casually
the girl boss herself.
Let's casually bring her up in every single episode.
We need an emoji that corresponds with Anne Hathaway so that if you catch our Anne Hathaway reference in every episode, you can comment it. So we'll think on that.
Yeah, all I can think of is like The Devil Wears Prada
Yeah. Like a shoe.
or
Like a high heel.
or Princess Tiara
Yes,
for Princess Diaries. So good.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the movie ended up falling through the project because Sony didn't have the rights to it anymore, and it went to Warner Brothers, and Margot Robbie's production company picked it up.
Wow.
And came to Greta Gerwig with it.
Wow.
So Greta Gerwig wrote this having Margot in mind for Barbie.
She was perfect.
She is perfect.
Can we talk about Margot Robbie? Wow. The most beautiful specimen of a human being I've ever seen.
She doesn't look real.
No, she looks like Barbie.
Yes.
Which is why this was so perfect.
And she's a great actress.
She's so incredibly talented, and I cannot imagine anybody else in the role.
No, not playing a stereotypical Barbie.
Mm-mm. And I loved that they called it stereotypical Barbie. That was nice. Because it did occur to me in the very beginning of the movie, exactly like you said, the way that a lot of the people of color or, quote, non-traditional Barbies were not the main Barbie and Ken. And I thought that was an interesting choice. And I think we can get into that later, but I appreciated that they called her stereotypical Barbie and made it kind of a way to poke fun at themselves. Like they, in kind of a roundabout way in the movie, ended up almost making fun of themselves in the way that they were like, Barbie fixed everything for women and everybody is empowered now because of me, stereotypical Barbie. And you could feel the sarcasm in that, and that was nice.
Yeah, completely agree.
It was giving Elle Woods. Like, the movie, to me, felt very much like an updated Legally Blonde, like an updated feminist message where you see the quote-unquote most stereotypical perfect woman kind of break down and recreate herself in the real world. And that is very much was Elle Woods' journey in Legally Blonde, and that's relatable to a lot of people, and it makes sense why this one is doing so well.
That's a great comparison, and that makes me really want to watch Legally Blonde now.
I know, same. Ryan Gosling.
Oh my gosh. Did you think that he was going to be a good Ken when you originally found out that he was cast?
Yes, but I could not picture him blonde, and it still was so weird. But I guess, is he blonde?
Not that blonde.
Yeah.
He blew me away because I also didn't know what Ken's character was going to be. I did not know that Ken was going to be the antagonist here.
Yes, Ken was the big surprise for me in the movie.
Okay, so you didn't know either going into it.
No, I knew I had heard bits and pieces about the patriarchy being involved and there being a feminist message, but I didn't know how involved in that Ken was going to be.
Yeah, and I guess when it first came out that he was going to be Ken, people were not very nice about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't think that he was going to make a good Ken. And it's really funny to me because Greta Gerwig actually wrote the script with him in mind as Ken.
Wow.
And I have a quote from her that just makes me laugh. Greta didn't know Ryan at all, but she wrote the role for him. And she said, "We wrote his name into the script and everything. And Gosling's name was everywhere. And then when we handed them the script, the studio was like, 'Oh, it's so wonderful that you know Ryan.' And I was like, 'Oh, I don't know Ryan. I've never met Ryan. I have no idea.'"
Good for her.
And she said that he was a little confused at first, I think, and even when he first arrived to film, she said that she didn't think he knew what he was getting himself into fully. Mm-hmm. But then he really owned Ken and did great.
He did. He committed to the bit, as they say.
He did, even in interviews afterwards. It seems like he's really committed to it.
Yeah, he did a great job.
And something else interesting that I found out about him, he got his start on Disney Channel's Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. No, not Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
I think it was Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, yes, Mickey Mouse Club. Yep.
Yeah, so he got his start at age 12, and I believe that had singing and dancing involved. And he was also on there with Justin Timberlake, who was his friend, and Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. And because he started off singing and dancing, for many years of his life, he kind of was trying to distance himself from that and have this more mature image. And Greta said that it was kind of like making peace with that kid to do this role, is what he said.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
I just learned recently that he was part of the Mickey Mouse Club, and it's interesting because he ended up so different than every other person that we think of from the Mickey Mouse Club that I think ended up being kind of a stereotypical, or at least like very musically inclined child star.
Yeah, that's true because they go off to become musicians usually. And he's been in La La Land, but I can't think of anything else.
That's true. He was in La La Land. Yeah, he was a great fit, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, possibly my favorite person in this movie was America Ferrera.
Yes.
I love her, and I have not seen her in a long time.
No.
And I don't know if that's just because I haven't watched what she's in or if she hasn't been in a lot, but I loved seeing her. I forgot how talented and amazing she is.
Yeah, she really is. And I really liked the role that she had in this movie. She plays Gloria, who's a mom. And I don't know if we want to get into it now, but we find out that Gloria is the one who's been playing with Barbie. And that is so cute to me.
That ripped my heart right out. I love that they made that a reveal. Like that we really all thought she was there for Gloria's daughter, Sasha. And then we see Barbie and America realize they're there for each other. And it was so cute. And then they just become best friends for the rest of the movie. I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was very sweet. And I just wanted more of her. I think I wanted more background on her character and on her relationship with her husband and with her daughter. And yeah, I needed more.
Definitely. Agreed. Okay, now for the non-human piece of this movie, the set.
Oh my gosh, the set.
Oh my gosh, the set.
It was beautiful. All pink, all very fake looking, but no CGI.
But it is real, right?
Yep, they like hand painted the backdrops, which is why they look so beautiful.
That's insane. Like, the Barbie dream house real or not real?
No, that's real.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of it was real.
Wow.
Yeah, like painted the pool at the bottom that they all just like walked over like it was nothing.
Oh my gosh. That makes me so happy. I want to go.
I heard somewhere, I don't know if this is true, but I heard somewhere that you can rent it out. Like it's an Airbnb.
No.
I bet it's really expensive though, if that's true.
I'm sure it's crazy.
But that would be the most fun girls' night ever.
I know. Girls' night every night.
Did you have any favorite side characters in this movie?
Yes, Midge, absolutely.
Midge.
She's the pregnant Barbie, and my friend Caroline and I had a Midge.
You did?
And played with her. She was always the pregnant teenage daughter. Which I suppose is the reason they discontinued it.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
I love Midge. Justice for Midge.
Justice for Midge. Bring Midge back. That's going to be our movement. # bring Midge back. I also loved Weird Barbie. Holy shit.
Do you want to explain who Weird Barbie is?
Oh, sure. Weird Barbie, played by the iconic Kate McKinnon, is the Barbie that you played with too hard. And somehow in this Barbieland universe, everybody knows that that's what Weird Barbie is. Not marketed as Weird Barbie, just a Barbie that gets all their hair cut off and singed and gets drawn on by makeup and markers and gets stuck in the splits. Which I think we probably all had.
And even Gloria, when she met her, she's like, "You're Weird Barbie."
Exactly.
I had one of you.
And Kate McKinnon is one of my favorite actors. She is so funny, and I loved that she was in this role and in this movie, and it was just perfect. And so Weird Barbie serves as kind of the spiritual guide of the movie, where when any Barbie is fucked up in some way or has a problem, they go to Weird Barbie to get it solved, and they dread going to her because she's so weird, and she helps them solve it, and she kind of becomes a bigger and bigger part of the movie throughout.
Yeah, and they said something like, Weird Barbie spends her time making other Barbies perfect.
Yes.
Which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite side character?
I loved President Barbie, played by Issa Rae. Like,
Love.
Issa Rae for president.
No notes.
She was great.
Yeah.
She was radiant in the role, too. She was
She's so
perfect.
beautiful.
Yes. Love her.
Okay, so Weird Barbie kind of brings us to the impetus of the movie, of the plot, which we call an inciting incident. if
Writer
you're speaking
talk.
in writer talk. So the movie opens and Barbie wakes up in her perfect Barbieland dream house, and it is exactly what you imagine. I mean, she is drinking out of a cup and holding the cup away from her mouth because there's not actually liquid in it, and she floats from the top level of her house down into the car perfectly, and it's just hilarious to watch Barbie's classic morning routine. However, she starts to discover that things are not normal.
There's this dancing scene where they're having this choreographed dance party, and it's so cute and fun, and I love it, and all the Barbies are there and some of the Kens. And all of a sudden, as the music's playing, Barbie goes, "You guys ever think about dying?"
Just a record scratch.
Silence from everyone. And then the next morning when she wakes up, things are not normal anymore. She burns her waffle. Her shower is too cold.
Her feet are flat.
Oh my gosh, her
God
feet are
forbid.
flat. I love that they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that all of the Barbies reacted by gagging.
Yeah. Yeah, she shows her Barbie friends her flat feet. She's like, something's wrong. And they all just immediately are so disgusted and they're fake throwing up. It's so funny.
That was one of my favorite parts.
Mm-hmm.
And then she also discovers that she has cellulite now.
Mm-hmm. So, thanks to flat feet, cellulite, etc., she takes a trip to Weird Barbie. Weird Barbie, aka Kate McKinnon, tells her she's going to have to go to the real world to solve her problems, which means she has to find the person in the real world that's playing with her as a doll, because that's what's disrupting her in Barbieland, and that there's some sort of connection that she's going to have to close off. Like there's a portal she has to close in order to get her old self back.
When Barbie goes off to the real world, Ken does sneak in with her, which I think is important to note. And I love Barbie's reaction with Ken. I really expected them to be this like power couple in the movie, and she really doesn't want anything to do with him.
No.
He's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, he tries to stay over at her house, like, the night before or something, and she's like, no, you can go now. I'm having girls' night. Bye. Just could not care less about his existence. It's so funny.
Yeah. And so when she is in the real world, she's trying to tune in with the little girl who plays with her to try and find out where she is. And she's at this bus stop, and there's this older woman, and Barbie has never seen an aging person before. She just looks at her and is like, "You're so beautiful." And I really loved that. What did you think of that part?
I thought it was so sweet. I think we don't get a lot of that. I think that was one of the really good examples that where this movie intentionally makes a comment about beauty standards. And I think they did a really good job for her to just like turn to a beautiful older woman and say, "You're so beautiful." We just don't see that on screen a lot. I thought it was a gorgeous moment.
And the woman said something like, "I know it."
I know. Oh, I'm like getting goosebumps talking about it. I thought it was really powerful. I loved it.
It was. And I was under the impression until yesterday that woman was played by Barbara Handler. Who Barbie was based off of, the daughter of Ruth Handler. That's a huge rumor that's going around on the internet, but it's actually not her.
Wow, you heard it here first, folks. Debunked.
Debunked. I think her name is Anne Roth, and I think she's friends with Greta Gerwig.
Cool. So while Barbie is meeting this stunning older woman and talking to her, what's Ken doing?
Ken is discovering the patriarchy.
I have never loved a plot point more than this. Truly.
It was so great. And he's just walking around the city and in this big corporate building, and he's seeing how the guys act. And he's seeing how guys treat him too, with respect. Actually, he thinks everyone respects him, even when they're just asking the time. He's like, "You respect me."
Like that anybody would give him enough time to like look him in the eyes and ask him a question. He's just astonished.
Because he's just an accessory to Barbie.
Right.
So this is the first time that he's really been seen.
Mm-hmm. And the movie does a hilarious thing with Ken, which is like the best ongoing gag where they make him pretty bad at grammar. So
I didn't notice that.
His job in Barbie world is beach. And so he'll just say, I do beach. Not like I hang out at the beach. My job is to stay at the beach. His just like, my job is beach. I do beach. I miss beach. And he does the same thing with patriarchy, where he's like, I learned patriarchy.
That's so funny. Yeah, and he's just seeing like all of the presidents of the United States who have all been men, and he's just getting really excited. He sees, is it Sylvester Stallone?
Yes.
Which we'll come back to later, but he's just getting so inspired. There's this big like Hummer. He's loving the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm. The horses.
He thinks it has to do with horses.
Yeah.
He's a horse boy.
He is a horse boy. Oh, Ken.
Ken is a horse boy.
Ken's a horse boy. Yeah, Ken being like, I must bring horses and patriarchy back to Barbieland. It's just like.
And he checks out books from the school library in the real world, and all of them are on patriarchy except for one that's on horses.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only book we see him reading later on is the horse one.
Yeah. Our sweet horse boy Ken, who's not that sweet, but.
No. What did you think of the scene where Barbie goes to school and sees Sasha?
I thought it was really interesting that Sasha gave her the reaction that I think most young people have towards Barbie now.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that it was represented. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I loved, again, it was giving Elwood shows up to Harvard. Being like, what? Like, it's hard? Hey, everybody. Like, hey, boys, when she moves in. It was giving that. Where, like,
yeah.
Barbie just struts in. She's like, hey, girls. And Sasha just hates her immediately and is like, get the fuck out. What does she call her? A fascist?
She calls her a fascist. And this is my boyfriend Robert's favorite line in the entire movie. But she's crying and she's like, I'm not a fascist. I don't control the railways or the flow of commerce.
Yeah, it was incredible. And so that's kind of our first introduction to the humans of the story, Gloria and Sasha. Sasha is the middle schooler. I think she's middle school.
I think so.
Yeah. Sasha is the middle schooler and Gloria is her mom. Gloria is America Ferrera, like we said. And America Ferrera works at Mattel.
Oh, yes.
She is the CEO, played by Will Ferrell's executive assistant. That's what I gathered.
I think so. I don't even think he knows her name.
No, I don't think he does either. What did you think of them bringing Mattel into the story?
I loved this movie, but I did not really care for the Mattel storyline.
Why?
I didn't think we needed it. I think they just wanted to have this bad guy, this like corporate bad guy, and that was interesting, but I don't think we needed it, and I think we could have gotten more Gloria and Sasha time.
Yeah.
And we actually could have also gotten more Barbie in the real world time. And I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but Barbie's experience in the real world is terrible so far.
Yeah.
She has not had anything great happen except for she saw a few people laugh and it made her laugh to see that range of emotion.
I forgot about that. Yeah, she's been catcalled. She makes a comment about how she feels like under threat of violence.
Yeah.
Which, something that's interesting, I was talking to my sister about the movie, is that when the Kens are sort of at the bottom of the matriarchy in Barbieland, they don't experience that. They don't experience the catcalling, the like threat of violence, even though they are treated like they're irrelevant. And I don't think that's fair either. It is interesting to then see it flipped in the human world where the experience of the person on the bottom is still different. And the way that the people on the top exert power is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like exactly flip-flopped. But I just thought it was interesting because that's probably accurate.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. It's a really good point.
But that's interesting you didn't like the Mattel story. I actually completely agree.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I think if there was one, we were talking earlier, and I felt like it's hard to even think about recapping this movie because there's so much going on and they're trying to tell so many stories and portray so many lessons, which I loved. But I think the Mattel one we probably could have lost.
Yeah, and I wonder if they kept it because they wanted Will Ferrell to be in it.
I think yes. And yeah, and I think exactly like you said, they were going for the corporate bad guy. And they might have even been going for a Mattel redemption because the story was also, or the movie was also produced by Mattel, which is interesting to me also that Mattel was in on the being the villain of the story. Yeah, it was just an interesting ad.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that they could allow the joke to happen about them, especially with like all the executives being white men.
Agreed.
Which I did look up the executives of the company just to see because I was curious. I believe it's mostly white and mostly male, and the women I saw were in kind of your typical women leadership positions like
HR, marketing.
Yep, communications.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like one other one that was, film. Interesting.
Don't love it. But points for honesty.
Yeah.
Points for honesty and being able to laugh at yourself and putting on such a feminist movie.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if they had a lot of say in it or if they kind of just let Greta do what she wanted and then they were like, okay, like we'll go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked out.
Either way, I think it's saving the company. I think their company was borderline, I have not fact-checked this, but I think their company was borderline bankrupt recently.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Now everybody's out here buying Barbies. I have a Barbie from the Barbie movie.
You do?
Yes, and my friend Caroline, who used to play Barbies with me, sent me as like a... Remember when we used to play Barbies together? Like, everybody needs a friend to do that with kind of thing.
We love Caroline.
I know. And she sent me the Barbie nail polish.
Oh,
I know.
That's so sweet.
Shout out, Caroline, if you're listening.
Yes, hi, Caroline. Do you have the Barbie that has Margot Robbie's face, or is it the regular Barbie face?
Oh.
I don't know if you've seen...
I think it's the Margot Robbie one.
Okay. I think it's...
It doesn't look like typical... It doesn't look like stereotypical Barbie.
It's the other stereotypical Barbie.
Yeah. Okay, we have to talk about the music in this movie.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any favorites? Anything that sticks out?
Okay. The Billie Eilish song is the one I would listen to on my own.
Yes.
But the Lizzo song and the way that it's like wrapped into the script is so hilarious. And I love that they did that. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie do that.
Me neither. And it blew my mind. So I needed to learn more because I've just been deep diving on this movie since I saw it. Just noting that we've recorded this podcast before the recent allegations about Lizzo came out. Apparently, they had written the song as score, and then they brought Lizzo in, and she just started singing what was on screen.
Wow.
That's why it's so perfect.
Wow.
Talented.
Lizzo.
The song is incredible. I want to listen to it all the time.
Yeah, that makes me happy. She's so talented. So many talented people in this movie. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I mean, the soundtrack alone just has so many crazy huge stars, and then the cast is full of them.
Yeah. I saw Billie Eilish's brother, Phineas, who worked on the song What Was I Made For with her, posted on Instagram that this was his favorite writing experience ever. Like making this song with her.
Oh, did he say why?
I don't remember.
Because I was listening to an interview with Greta Gerwig, and she said that she had Billy and Phineas listen to or watch, they watched 30 minutes of the film. Then they asked what kind of song they were looking for. And Greta was like, I want you guys to write whatever you want, but I think this is Barbie's heart song.
Oh.
And so they left, and then a week later, Greta got a voice note with the song in it.
Wow.
And said it was just the most beautiful thing. And then the cool thing is that Billie Eilish and Phineas were like, you can do whatever you want with this song. So the score of the song, or variations of the song without words, play in multiple parts throughout the movie. It plays when Barbie meets Ruth, I think when she meets Gloria. And when she meets Ruth, it's like a 50s version of the song.
Oh, cute. I didn't even notice that there were different versions of it throughout.
Me neither.
I noticed it pop in and out in some like deeper moments, one of which we have to talk about. I don't know if that's skipping too far ahead.
Let's see. Oh, I know one person I really want to talk about that we missed.
Oh, let's get it.
Alan.
Alan, how could we forget Alan?
Can I just say I love Michael Cera
Yeah.
so much. Always have. Kind of had a crush on him when I was little.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He was perfect for this.
He was so good.
He's in Juno.
Yeah, that's why I love him.
Yep.
And Arrested Development and a bunch of other things. But there was that time that Michael Cera was really big, and he was the awkward character in so many different movies. And then we haven't really seen him in a lot of stuff lately. And he was perfect as Alan. And did you notice that after Ken gets back and finds out about horses and the patriarchy, Alan's shirt has a horse on it?
No. Oh, Ken's buddy.
All of his clothes fit him.
That's incredible. Alan was so good. I loved that he was also on Team Girls. Like, he was definitely Team Barbie throughout. He was like, I gotta get the fuck away from this
He was
patriarchy
miserable.
casa house.
Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Mojo Dojo Casa House. Is Mattel gonna make the Mojo Dojo Casa House? They must.
I was wondering that, but then I was like, does that defeat the point of the movie if they have... But then, if I was still playing with Barbies, I would want to reenact the entire Barbie movie with my dolls.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe.
This is another example of Ken's spectacular grammar. Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Also, I love that he's dressed like Sylvester Stallone when he gets back, and he's got this fluffy...
Wait a second. I did not put together that the fluffy robe was because of Sylvester Stallone.
Yes. It's this big faux mink coat,
Ah.
and the inner lining has horses on it.
Oh my god, stop. Just the more and more I hear about this, the more and more Ken is just a sweet horse boy that just wants to impress his friends.
I know, and everyone hates Ken, and I know that he's not the good guy in this movie. And I'm not trying to make him the star of this movie, but he was really funny. It was great comedic relief.
Yeah, for some reason, the horse boy factor is just softening him to me immensely afterwards. He was definitely the villain, let's be clear. Okay, so perhaps the biggest turning point of the movie is America Ferrera's iconic monologue that has been all over TikTok. I've been working my ass off to avoid it all week. What did you think?
I thought it was really powerful when I watched the movie the first time. I've seen it twice now. And I really loved it. And I thought she had like reached this breaking point, and all of a sudden she could rant about all of the things that it means to be a woman and how contradictory it is. And I love that it started turning. It started helping Barbie snap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was so powerful. I love a good monologue. And I loved that it served as sort of this metaphor that I think is true in real life, that when you start to notice the patriarchy, or should I say patriarchy? No, the in Ken style. I think when you start to notice those microaggressions or things in your life, or even just like high level basic stuff, you can't unsee it, and you start to see it more and more. And I thought it was a really cool metaphor for that. And when Gloria is saying the monologue, Margot Robbie is on the ground, like having a mental breakdown. And afterwards, she rolls over when Gloria is done and says, so I pulled out my phone in the theater to write this down because it was like my favorite line. I'm not going to do it justice, but she says, so either you're brainwashed or you're weird and ugly. There is no in between. And Kate McKinnon's character says, sing it, sister, and helps her get up. And I thought that was just true.
Can you say it one more time?
Yeah. Either you're brainwashed or you're weird and ugly. There is no in between.
How interesting. I didn't even notice that line.
Yeah. Because they were just commenting on all the Barbies that had been brainwashed that were happy to be living in the patriarchy versus the Barbies that had snapped out of it. They were like, well, now we're going to be weird and ugly forever because the boys don't like us anymore. And I thought it was just an interesting way to address the perspective that Gloria was talking about, where she was like, we're doing all of this just to get liked. And so when you're putting your value in how likable you are either brainwashed or weird and ugly. That's probably extreme, but like I just thought that was relatable.
So interesting. And that reminds me of another one of my favorite lines in the movie when Margot Robbie is crying about not being pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's not Margot Robbie, she's Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
Barbie is crying about not being pretty anymore. And the fourth wall breaks, and Helen Mirren, as the narrator, comes in and says something along the lines of, Margot Robbie is not the person to cast if you're trying to make this point.
Yeah, note to filmmakers.
And I just thought it was so good.
Yeah.
But back to the monologue, I do have one wish for it.
Mm.
I wish we had had more of a build up to it.
Yeah.
I would have loved more backstory on Gloria to know why she was feeling this way and to see how this was a big shift for her and taking her power back.
Absolutely. Agreed.
And because this whole movie, like we've seen, she caused Barbie to be depressed and existential, and she had been drawing all of these kind of existential crisis Barbies, and I just wanted to know why.
That's true. We never got the answer for why. Like, why was she drawing, what's it called? Irrepressible Thoughts of Death, Barbie. I thought we were going to get to it, and then we didn't.
No, we didn't. We didn't really get any of their home life at all, except for realizing that Sasha and Gloria had grown apart just as teenagers tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't make the movie any worse for me. I did see a review that talked about how they could have just replaced the whole Mattel storyline with more of this, Gloria and Sasha and Barbie, and I would have just loved that.
Yep. Or even if Gloria had still had her job working at Mattel and we saw glimpses of it and how she was treated, without the guys from Mattel feeling like they needed to go into Barbieland and be part of the fight, that felt like a lot. It felt a little over the top.
Yeah, and they didn't even do anything.
No.
In Barbieland, they were just there.
Right. And then they went home, question mark? I don't even remember how that was resolved.
Barbie leaves.
Right. But we just lose the rest.
Yeah.
So after Gloria's monologue, the girls are on a mission to free all the rest of the Barbies.
Yeah, and they have a really interesting plan. They've found that Gloria's monologue snaps them all out of this, what would you call it?
Trance?
Yeah, kind of a trance.
Brainwashed. I guess that's what Barbie calls it based on that quote.
Yeah.
Brainwashing.
I'm trying to remember what one of the Barbies says about she thought she was like, for some reason I was really invested in the Snyder cut of the Justice League.
Yes. Where it's like, I felt like I was in some weird dream where all I wanted to do was serve beer and something.
So Gloria's monologue snaps them out of it. So they've decided that they will have decoy Barbies go in, and anyone who is snapped out of it will pretend to be helpless and then distract the Kens while they get Gloria to give her monologue to other Barbies and snap them out of it. And it's like a big chain reaction. And it culminates in a really funny scene.
Yeah.
Did you know the song Push by Matchbox 20?
Yes. I never thought about how gross the words are until this movie, though.
Me neither. I just had no idea.
I wanna push you around.
Well, I will.
It's dark.
It is. But I kind of like the song still.
Me too.
It's been stuck in my head.
This is patriarchy.
But anyway, all of the Kens are singing it for like 4 hours straight to the Barbies. And then they start getting up in the middle of the song and going over to other Kens. And the whole point is to turn all of the Kens against each other so they can have a big war.
Mm-hmm. All I was thinking when it was happening was, what does Matchbox 20 think of this?
Did you find out?
No.
I looked it up because I was also curious. I think that we have the same questions when we watch movies.
Yeah.
The lead singer of Matchbox 20, Rob, he agreed to have his song be in the movie. And I think all he knew was that Ken was going to be singing it. And he knew.
Imagine.
Yeah, he knew he was going to be the butt of a joke.
Okay, that's good.
And I don't think this is the first time this song has had pushback.
Mm-hmm.
He is totally fine with the movie. He said it was funny. But I guess the song is about a girl in high school, when he was in high school, emotionally manipulating him. And it's not about him physically pushing her around. It's like in his brain, he's like retaliating, like, you did this to me, now what if I did this to you, kind of thing. Don't know. Doesn't make it any better to me.
Interesting. Well, no offense. I feel like Matchbox 20 has not been on a lot of people's radar in a long time. So I'm sure they were happy to agree to have their song played in a huge blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
And then that pretty much brings us to the end.
There's like a big musical fight that's pretty fun. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when Barbie is escaping the real world to go back and help save Barbieland, which she doesn't know is in peril yet, but when she's leaving the real world, she's escaping from the Mattel corporate office, and she runs into this old woman's sort of office, looks like a home. We don't really know what it is when she finds it. She has this wonderful encounter with this sweet old lady who like gives her tea and tells her it's going to be okay and gives her a way out. And we find out later that that is Ruth Handler, who's the creator of Barbie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, her ghost. Did you recognize that actress who played Ruth?
No.
Matilda. The mom.
Oh.
Who's married to Danny DeVito.
Wow.
Who is also married to Danny DeVito in real life.
Wow.
But I think they're separated.
Okay.
But they're still married.
Huh. That's sweet. I did not recognize her, but she was so cute. I guess old people probably hate when you say cute, but I thought she was beautiful and nice.
There
and
we go.
I loved the addition. And it was so funny that she also talked about her tax evasion.
Yes. I guess that's real. I haven't looked into it. But...
It must be real because I feel like that's the writers wanting to make her this sweet, heroic character, but then being like, we gotta address this, so let's make it a joke.
I'm a 5-foot grandma with tax evasion issues.
Yeah, incredible. I thought it was sweet. And so Barbie ends up asking Ruth if she's allowed to become a human. And Barbie and Ruth basically says, you don't have to ask my permission, basically saying you are human if you feel like it. And they have this really beautiful moment where Ruth, I think they like hold hands, and Ruth tells her to close her eyes and feel. And they run through all of these clips that show human emotions and human experiences. And I learned something cool about the clips.
Oh, what?
Those are all clips brought in from the cast and crew.
Oh, I was wondering if it was from the cast and crew.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, like there's a clip where there's a woman that blows a kiss in the mirror, and that's Margot Robbie's friend on her wedding day.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was Margot's clip. And I just thought that was so cute that they incorporated special moments from everybody in this like sentimental part of the movie. Where they play the awesome Billie Eilish song again.
Yes, I'm so glad that they used real clips from real people instead of trying to film that.
Same. It was very authentic and sweet. And so then Barbie is a human. Barbie's a real girl.
Yes, and she goes to the gynecologist. Her first big step.
Yeah. Gloria and Sasha's dad take her and drop her off at the gynecologist. And when she was getting out of the car, she's like wearing a blazer and Birkenstocks and like a tote bag. Did you think she was going somewhere else?
I thought she had a job interview.
Me too, because they were like, good luck. And she was wearing a blazer. And then she walks in, just a huge smile on her face. Again, like such Elle Woods vibes. And it's just like, I'm here for my gynecologist appointment.
And her name is Handler, Barbara.
Ah, that was so sweet, which Ruth Handler named Barbie after her daughter, Barbara Handler. And she tells Barbie that in their like sentimental moment. And so I thought that was so cute that Barbie took her daughter's name.
Yes. It was a very good ending. I really liked it.
Love. I would give it a 10 out of 10. I would see it again. You've seen it twice in theaters.
Yeah, I think it's my top movie of the year. My second favorite movie of the year, though, would be a surprise because it's the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Wow. I never saw that.
So I don't know if that makes it not seem like it's really good, but I would say it was very good.
It was very good. I loved it. I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I'm sure it will be all over streaming soon.
Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode of What We're Watching. We'll be back next week with another episode.
If you liked it, please consider rating us.
Yeah, and leave a little crown emoji in honor of Queen Anne Hathaway. In the comments, please.
I hope that she forever stays unproblematic.
I know.
All right. I have one thing left to say.
Ooh.
Bye, Barbie.
Bye, Barbie.